Welcome back to another episode of the Find Food Freedom Podcast. This is your host, Sam Previtt, and I am so excited that you are here, and I'm so excited to be here. I took 2 weeks off from the pod. I planned ahead to have an episode released the first Wednesday of every month. We have a client testimonial episode, and we kind of pre-record those. So last week, you'll see the client testimonial episode. So I feel like I haven't podcasted in forever because I'm usually doing it weekly and I haven't done it now in 2 weeks. Um, I feel like I don't know what day it is. I don't know what month it is. I don't know what year it is because the reason I took off 2 weeks is for my kiddos' daycare. They do like a teacher planning week. Now, for three and under, I am so grateful for the curriculum that they provide, and these teachers are angels on earth. But a week of no childcare, whew, it ain't it ain't for the weak. That's for sure. I am not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. I can tell you that much. I don't know how you stay-at-home moms do it. You are heroes. So we had that week off and kind of stunk that the timing worked like this, but we went up to New Jersey for a week, which was so fun. Like we went to the Jersey Shore, then we saw some of our friends because my husband is from New Jersey. We met when I lived in Hoboken, yada yada. But the family shore house that we kind of stayed in the first half of our trip, that was the week after our kiddos were out of school for a week. So our kids missed their first week of school. I'm using like school in air quotes because they're 3 and 1. But so that was 2 straight weeks back to back without childcare and, of course, traveling and all of the things. Next year, we'll make sure to take our vacation the week they're out of school because we're still paying for it. Sure are. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. And if you've been following along on social media, I've been like teasing this idea of should we move back to Jersey? Um, I am from the Northeast. I'm from Pittsburgh. My husband's from Jersey. We met when we lived in Jersey. I went to Penn State. We're Northeasterners at heart. So we're wrestling with this idea of like, do we stay in Florida and raise our family here? And like kind of figuring this out before the girls are in school. Not that we can't move, like before they get into like actual, real school, not pre-K and stuff like that. But that's been on our mind. So that's where I'm at. Not that you care at all, because this is just random backstory. But also, I will say this ties into today, and we're going to talk. This is for my parents out there, my parents for littles. If you are listening to this episode, you are for sure a parent of a little. So we're going to talk about back to school today. We're also going to talk about how vacation is not a vacation when you have two toddlers. And how difficult it is to fuel yourself and like normalizing that. I think for me, like I know it's difficult to feed yourself when you're taking care of other human beings who rely on you, but I don't think I say it enough to validate others. So I want to talk about that today. But before I do that, I do want to do a Find Food Freedom win of the week. This is something I share every single week on the podcast, whether it's something from a client, something um, like a DM, maybe it's a podcast review, just something from our online community that people have wrote in and shared with us so graciously. And I love to share it and celebrate it. Now, this is a little more specific. This is a different one, but I wanted to share it with you because it's so special to me. So, as you know, we are a virtual private practice. We have a team of many, many dietitians, and we're licensed in, oh gosh, is it 20? We might be like 24 states now. We're getting up there. If you are in Ohio, stay tuned. Like this week, we're going to be able to accept insurance in the state of Ohio. So, get excited. But we have a team of dietitians. We are virtual. We see our clients virtually. We have done that for years. But I was back in Jersey, like I mentioned, and I have one client who I worked with him for years and years and years, and he is fabulous. And he lives in Jersey, and I knew he like lived near the Jersey Shore, so I shot him a text, and I was like, "Look, no obligation, but I would love to meet you in real life because we've stayed in touch since we've worked together." And we got to go to a coffee shop together down the shore and meet in real life. And it was just, it's such a full circle moment because we've created this like incredible rapport virtually. And we have this like really great relationship. And it was so awesome to like bring that to life. And it just kind of validated for me that I need that in-person community. And it's something I've talked about. I think when my kiddos are a little older and in school, like I would love to do some type of Find Food Freedom retreat where people in our online community, anyone, it could be open to the public, but like I would love to create something where we can all go together and connect because I think connection is so important. But my client, after we met at the coffee shop, he texted you, seeing this morning was so good for my soul. And it was such a full circle moment because we got to enjoy these decadent, delicious pastries together. We had like coffees and matcha with cold foam. It was so yummy. And like we got to just enjoy and talk. And like that's what food freedom's all about. So it's more, yes, it's a win for my client, of course, but it's a win for me in the sense of like I got to meet my client in real life. Like that brings me so much joy because everything is so virtual in our space. So if you're someone who's like, I would love to get support from your team. I'm really struggling with that obsessive, obsessive nature of thoughts of food and body image. We would love to work with you. And you can get your benefits checked by going to the link in the bio. You can go to Instagram, you can go to TikTok, anywhere we have the link and get your insurance benefits checked. Again, we're licensed in over 22 states now. We have dietitians that specialize in intuitive eating, body image, eating disorder, medical nutrition therapy related to diabetes, PCOS, autoimmune, many other medical diseases and conditions. So we would be honored. And there's no negative. I always say to people, if you have benefits from us, incredible, and you'll get free counseling one-on-one. And if you don't, we gift you a free month of membership. So that means you'll get 3 live calls simply because you don't have insurance benefits. So I do not want finances to be the reason that anybody can't get the support that they want and need. So please, please, please get those insurance benefits checked. Okay, so let's jump into why you clicked play on today's podcast. I'm fresh off of vacation. And, Paige, I'm going to link her account in the show notes. If you do not already follow her, she's a dear friend of mine. Her account is She Is a Page Turner. And she talks all about working moms, the mental load, childcare. Like that's what her account is dedicated to. And it just so happened that we were both on vacation the same week. So like all of the content that she's putting out is about being a mom on vacation. And it was so relatable. And then so I was thinking like taking that a step further, I relate to everything she talked about, but thinking about feeding yourself on vacation and how that differs from when you're in diet culture versus when you have food freedom. And then let's just throw a grenade on there and add 2 littles who are taking up all of your time, energy, probably saying mom, 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 like 400 times and you can't even think straight. That adds another layer of difficulty onto feeding yourself because it's really hard to listen to your cues when you can't even hear yourself fucking think. So let's talk about the diet culture version and then we'll add in the intuitive eating food freedom / littles part as well. So when on vacation, oftentimes we see this pattern with disordered eating and eating disorders of this need to air quotes be good before the vacation, especially when there's bathing suits involved, warm weather. A lot of times people know like maybe they're wearing shorts or tank tops or bathing suits and they feel this pressure to try to intentionally lose weight before the vacation. Maybe it's dieting, maybe it's excessive exercise, detoxes, cleanses, you name it. This need to shrink, and again, very heavy air quotes on be good. Then we get to the vacation and all hell breaks loose, whether it's an all inclusive, maybe we're going out to eat, maybe there's more alcohol intake, you name it. It's so normal to see when we're coming from restriction because we know that restriction fuels binging, that on a vacation, binging is going to occur. And this triggers that thought process of, see, this is why I need to be on a diet. This is why I can't be, air quotes, allowed to eat these foods. This is why I can't have these foods in the house. This is why I can't, blah, blah, blah. And it creates this false evidence because, yes, we might feel out of control on vacation, but the reason why is because the restriction was present. If we were allowed to consume those foods before vacation and we weren't restricting and we were fueling our bodies, that binging is going to be so less frequent. Now, please know it's not about not being allowed to binge, but it's recognizing why it's occurring. So for myself, if I'm using myself as an example, that was pretty much every vacation I ever went on in my 20s was this exactly. Like I have very specific ones I'm remembering, like spring breaks in college of just trying to basically starve myself as much as possible to then go on vacation and just go absolutely insane on every food, every drink. Obviously, it was like blacking out and just like not taking care of myself. So that's a whole nother layer if we had college on top of it. But now, that was vacation for me. Now, even that, if you're in diet culture and you have littles, like that is so difficult too, because oh, that's just it's just an added layer. But now I want to talk about the difference of like food freedom and intuitive eating and how that makes vacation so much more pleasurable. But then how kids, I was going to say, but kids make it not pleasant. But it's not that they don't make it pleasant, they just add a lot of obstacles. So now when it comes to vacations, like I'm just going to use myself speaking from experience because it's easier to do so. I'm allowed to eat anything I fucking want whenever I want, any day of the year. It could be a Friday, a Saturday, a Monday, a Sunday, a holiday, a work day, a vacation day, a sick day. I don't give a shit what day it is. I don't care where I am. I'm allowed to eat anything. I have unconditional permission to eat all food whenever I want. That took a really, really long time to get to that point. But now that I am there, when I go on vacation and you're going out to eat, right? More often for most, not all. If you're on an all-inclusive vacation, if there is more alcohol around, if, there's all these different things that we could talk about. I don't feel this urge to binge. I don't feel this urge to, air quotes, get my money's worth or get it in while I can because I'm not going to be, air quotes, allowed to eat it after the vacation. So that has been life changing. And luckily, I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful that I did a lot of that work before having kids. So I did experience vacations that I felt that way before children. Now, I also just want to like validate and like really lay it out there that if you do find that even if you've been on an intuitive eating journey or whatnot, that it's still harder to listen to your cues on vacation, that is completely normal. So it's normal to eat to a place of physical unpleasantness. That doesn't make you bad. That doesn't mean you're not an intuitive eater. It's normal because there's foods around that even though you have unconditional permission to eat them, you might just be like, you know what, fuck it. This sounds good. I want to eat the whole thing. I'm enjoying this experience. I'm enjoying these beverages, whatever it is. And that is intuitive eating. Like, I think there's this false narrative out there on social media that I see often where people are talking about intuitive eating and it's like eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. And sure, we want to listen to our cues and we want to recognize that we're allowed to eat to a place of physical unpleasantness. And that is still a part of the intuitive eating process. So when I'm using these examples of, vacation and diet culture versus vacation as an intuitive eater, that doesn't mean I didn't eat to a place of physical unpleasantness or consume whenever I wanted in whatever quantity. Like that is a part of it too. But because going back to the examples before, but because I have unconditional permission to eat, the binging and the feeling of like needing to get it while I can, that's just not there. I don't have urgency anymore. So it's a lot less frequent that I'm eating to a place of physical unpleasantness. Okay. Now let's just, like I said, let's throw a grenade on this and give the example. Again, personal examples here of having two toddlers. So a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I think flying with toddlers should be considered an Olympic sport. And especially when you have a toddler, like our 1-year-old she's a big girl and we probably should have got her own seat on the plane, but we were like, you know what? Fuck it. We don't want to pay that money. So we had her on our lap and like never again. It was just that age. She's like 15-ish months and they just want to move. They want to move. They don't want you to hold them at all. So yeah, never again. Please excuse me while I chug my Gatorade. All right. So that should be an Olympic event and that could be a whole nother podcast in and of itself. But that's where I want to like really hone in on, okay, let's say you're an intuitive eater or you're on this intuitive eating journey, you're on a food freedom journey, and you are a parent to littles. It is so fucking hard to feed yourself. I cringe at the advice that I gave parents before becoming a parent. And I cringe even more now being a parent to two toddlers, thinking about advice I gave to parents that maybe had one and then three and four, like just thinking about the different amount of children and how you're being stretched thin and you're meeting all of these other needs. And it takes so much privilege to say, like, listen to your body when like you don't even have time to listen to yourself think. And so yes, we can come up with tips and tricks and we can talk about this and we can talk about ways and we will do that. And I think what I really just want to get across on today's episode is that it is fucking hard to feed yourself as a parent, period. Whether you're on vacation, whether you're at home. Now, home I find is a little easier, right? Because maybe you have more food in the pantry, in the freezer, in the fridge than on a vacation, pending where you're staying, whether it's a hotel, Airbnb, rental, whatever. But let's go back to the overarching theme is it is hard to fucking feed yourself as a parent. And especially if you find yourself as that, if you're the default parent, if you find yourself carrying more of the mental load. And that's something Paige talked a lot about this week on her page. She is a page turner. So I'm going to link some of her videos in the show notes. Now, things we've talked about on past episodes, whether you're on vacation or not, I use the vacation examples, but having non-perishable food items in your pocket, in your purse, in your backpack, in your diaper bag, basically on you at all times is necessary. One, you know this as a parent already. When your kids have snacks, they're happy. You're just throwing snacks at them. That's all we did all vacation. Crying, here's a snack. Here's a snack. Just constantly. I've seen the TikToks of like, I wish I knew where it was, but it was a mom. She had like kids in a pack and play on the beach. And she was like, time to feed the chickens so I can read my book. And she's just like sprinkling Cheerios in it. And it just made me die laughing because it's so valid. So, so valid. So non-perishable snack items were the name of the game this week. And I did an episode 2 weeks ago that said, you are allowed to eat packaged food. I believe that was the name of the episode. You are allowed to eat packaged food because I'm so fucking sick of seeing all of these air quotes health and wellness gurus in Costco or all these, grocery stores and they're yelling at you for feeding your children or feeding yourself packaged foods and they're fear mongering and they're doing all of these things. You are allowed to eat packaged foods. And as a parent who has littles, because if you're listening to this, you definitely probably check those boxes. It is so important to have food, period. Like eating something is always better than eating nothing, especially when you are starving and you have not fueled yourself properly. So those non-perishable snack items are just so, so crucial. And as we transition from like vacation month to back to school, like I said, my toddler went back today. Our youngest goes tomorrow to her first day. So hopefully, if you're a parent and your kids are going back to school, you're going to get a little bit more you time. But this also brings back this idea of packaged foods, like what it looks like to pack a lunch for your kiddo. And I've gotten multiple friends actually that have been texting me. They're like, what lunch boxes do you use? What do you put in them? How do I balance a snack? And I was like, okay, if multiple of my friends are texting me this and asking me this, it's probably time to do an episode on it. So I'm thinking we're going to probably need a complete separate episode on that because we can talk about how to balance the food groups, the macronutrients, and create not only a balanced snack box or lunch box for your kiddos, but also have packaged foods and utilize them in a way to help you, to help get more texture and crunch, because we all know that our kids love goldfish, but to get some variety in there as well. Ways that we can use some of our packaged foods that have more fiber because they're based from mostly a bean, right? Or a pea and have really yummy flavors for the kids. So now coming to the end of this episode, it's very apparent to me that that needs to be a whole separate episode that we will be doing for next week, since it's back to school time. And this goes not only for back to school lunches, right? This goes for every meal. Is if you're saying, okay, I'm at a place where I've made peace with food, I have unconditional permission to eat. And now I'm at a point where I want to utilize nutrition education. I want to utilize nutrition science as a way to give me more energy, balance my blood sugar, all of these things. You can do that. And that doesn't mean you're dieting. And that doesn't mean you're, you know, entrenched in diet culture. It means that you are actively wanting to pursue health. And that is okay. And like, let's give the big and statement today. It's okay to pursue that. It's also okay not to. It's okay to want to include more whole foods, more fruits, more vegetables, etc. It is also okay to use packaged foods. And that's where nutrition has so much nuance to it. And the online space does not allow for that. The pieces of content that go viral on the internet are the ones that are the most polarizing, right? It's that fucking guy named, I think it's Bobby, right? Where he's yelling at you at Costco and telling you you're a bad parent if your kid's eating XYZ. So I'm here to tell you to block out that noise and find the gray area. Nutrition is not black and white. It's not one size fits all. And that's why even this podcast, for example, this is not a substitution for professional support. And that's why I'm so grateful that we have our team of dietitians that we take insurance. So if you're like, okay, I have these medical diseases and conditions. This is my, schedule with work. This is what my kid likes to eat. This is what my husband likes to eat. Like all these things, you can have someone support you one-on-one because someone spewing misinformation online and telling you what to eat and not to eat is not going to help you. It's not sustainable. And if you don't like it, it's not going to stick. So let's find that messy gray area together. Let's allow nuance in the conversation. And please, 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 if you are listening to this as a parent, especially, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck to feed my kids. I'm so stressed out about this. I don't know how to listen to my own cues when I have these littles that are constantly pulling at me, saying my name, pulling me out of that internal cue, right? You're constantly having those external things going on. We would love to work with you. And we have multiple dietitians on our team that actually specialize in working with parents with kiddos, have kiddos themselves. So not only do they have that professional experience, but they also have that lived experience and just knowing how fucking hard this all is. So, as we wrap today, no matter what you're doing a great job. I'm so, so grateful that you clicked on this episode so we can support you, so we can give you more resources. And if you're a parent listening to this and you're like, okay, yes, I needed to hear this today and I need X, Y, and Z, please, 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 whether you're on Apple, Spotify, whatever, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And in your review, let us know what you want to see more of, or you can always send me a DM and just say, hey, listen to the pod. Here's what I'm struggling with as a parent with nutrition and food and all of these things. And I would absolutely love, love, love to be able to create more content that's going to resonate with you and that's going to help you. So the more I hear from you, the more I can help you. Please, 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 if you haven't already, go get your benefits checked. There's no downside. You either have free one-on-one nutrition counseling with our team of intuitive eating dietitians, or if you don't, you get a free month of our membership, which includes 3 live group coaching calls. So thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And we will chat next week. Bye.